to perform the South African national anthem. Would you please rise? His talent has taken him all over the world, and he will soon be taking part in yet another international competition in the Netherlands in September, I believe. We wish you luck, and you'll be hearing more of him in the years to come. My name is Mike Stroman, and it is an honour and a very real privilege for me to act as your Master of Ceremonies for this grand occasion here on this chilly late afternoon and early evening. On behalf of your hosts, SANRAL, the South African National Roads Agency, welcome. Wamkelekile, Velko, Yamakelwa, Le Amoketswe. We have many ways in South Africa of welcoming you onto African soil for the first time ever. And they all mean the same thing, that we're delighted to have you here at the opening ceremony of the 55th International Mathematical Olympiad. This is a congregation of brilliance, and we applaud each and every one of the contestants here this evening from over 100 competing countries around the world. You're all champions in your own right. The English cleric Charles Callum Colton said, "The study of mathematics, like the Nile, begins in minuteness but ends in magnificence." At the start of a week that will certainly end in magnificence, we find ourselves this evening on what could easily be the most beautifully situated university campus in the world. Would you please welcome the Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Town, Dr. Max Price.
Good evening, to representatives of government, Minister Deborah Schaefer, who is representing the Premier and will speak to us shortly, to the sponsors of this International Mathematical Olympiad, and especially sponsors Sandra, who sponsored tonight's event, to the members and executive of the South African Mathematics Foundation, to our special guests from around the world, and it is just wonderful to see so many young people from schools and around the cities and countries around the world gathered here for this week, for this opportunity to compete, to perform, to demonstrate, and to show what you can do, but hopefully to make friends, to establish connections, to plot out your futures together, and to feel the way that that sort of collaboration will make the world a better place. Welcome to South Africa, welcome to Cape Town, and welcome to the University of Cape Town. It is really an honor to host the first International Mathematical Olympiad to come to Africa here at UCT. The university that prides itself on its strengths in research in both natural and the human sciences, rated the top university in the continent of Africa, among the global leaders, and certainly committed to developing our young talent, both from South Africa and from the continent and the rest of the world. You may not be surprised, or you may be, that this is the first time in its long history that the International Mathematical Olympiad is being held in Africa. It's not surprising, though, when one thinks about the perceptions of Africa, because those perceptions do not naturally associate Africa with science, innovations in technology, and specifically with leadership in mathematics. But I want to suggest to you that this perception is wrong, and that it reflects an ignorance of history rather than a reality. Africa is the cradle of humankind, and in fact the cradle of mathematical thinking. Amongst the earliest mathematical calculations that were made by people who built the pyramids and who took surveys of the flooded Nile Delta. Papyrus manuscripts have survived over 4,000 years ago, showing how much mathematical knowledge the Egyptians had developed. Mathematics reached its full maturity in Africa under Euclid, whose elements of geometry were published in the North African city of Alexandria some 2,400 years ago. Next slide. In medieval times, Timbuktu, which is now in Mali, the country of Mali, was the center of learning. Timbuktu University was established in the 12th century, before the universities of Oxford and Cambridge, and is considered to be one of the first universities in the world, universities as we now know them, with faculties, with disciplines, where teaching and research was conducted. Next slide. Only recently have scholars been able to explore and publish the wealth of documents that have been stored in the Timbuktu libraries, including works in mathematics and astronomy dating back, as I say, some 800 years, some of them. Next slide. The University of Cape Town is fortunate to be playing a major part, both in the preservation of the Timbuktu manuscripts and in the deciphering, decoding, and study and analysis of these manuscripts. Next slide. But Africa's links to mathematics actually go back a lot further than that. You are looking here at a piece of bone found by our archaeologists excavating the border cave, as it's known, in the Mbombo Mountains in South Africa, between South Africa and Swaziland. A small bone with 29 We believe that it was a calendar step, dating back 35,000 years, recording the days of the lunar month, and this little bone is acknowledged as the oldest permanent record of a fundamental mathematical idea, the idea of counting. The first record of that idea of counting, coming from the border area between South Africa and Swaziland. Next slide. Even further back, another archaeological excavation in the Blockhouse cave, not far from Cape Town, archaeologists have discovered a piece of ochre precisely engraved with a pattern of parallel lines. It is no less than 100,000 years old and is the earliest known example of an abstract geometric design. So, ladies and gentlemen, this week, for the first time in its history, and not a year too late, not a century too late, the International Mathematical Olympiad is being held in Africa, and it seems to me it is certainly an idea whose time has come. Next slide. UCT has a special interest in being your host, not just because Les, as our Master of Ceremonies indicated, a very beautiful campus, not just because we are a campus committed to research and developing young scientists and mathematicians, not just because we are a campus committed to diversity and bringing together people from different cultures, different races, different nationalities, and drawing on the South African experience of reconciliation and diversity and promoting that in the classroom and in the laboratories, but also because of the future. We hope that many of you, as you move on in your careers to academia, to university, will consider coming here, that this will be a taste of a possible place where you might do your undergraduate or postgraduate studies, and that you might use the opportunity of this visit to explore the possibilities of coming here. And we would like nothing more than to welcome you back, and I'm sure we will, almost all of you, welcome you back someday, whether as students, as graduate students, as researchers, as lecturers, or as colleagues in collaborative research projects. Welcome to the University of Cape Town.
Thank you very much, Dr. Price. And now will you join me in warmly welcoming the Minister of Education in the Western Cape, Debbie Shaker, onto the stage.
While we have seen improvements in the math pass rate in the Western Cape and South
support of our hosts and sponsors, and this afternoon you are warmly welcomed by SANRAL, the South African National Roads Agency. We have a pre-recorded message from SANRAL CEO, Mr. Nadir Ahmed.
We as the South African National Roads Agency are pleased to be associated with the International Mathematics Olympiad taking place in South Africa from 3 to 13 July this year. This is the first time this prestigious tournament will be hosted on the continent of Africa, another great first for South Africa. This is timely given the unsubstantiated claims about South Africa's ranking in mathematics amongst its peers. The IMO is the equivalent of the Olympics in maths and is set to bring together the sharpest and brightest young minds to compete with their peers from around the globe. Our sponsorship of this 55th Olympiad comes from a deeply rooted culture of nurturing young minds into great leaders of tomorrow. SANRAL does so much more than just build and maintain South Africa's national road network, which in essence forms the arteries of our economy. Our oversubscribed bursary initiative and sponsorship of faculty chairs at various universities is testament to that. We sponsor a chair in pavement engineering at Stellenbosch, in transportation at Cape Town, and in maths and science in the Free State. SANRAL is committed to developing South Africa's human capital. We also partner and support pioneering initiatives in the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University STEP project, the Targeting Talent program at WITS, and the ITC laboratory program at the Free State. Congratulations to the learners who were chosen to represent South Africa. I have no doubt you will represent us well, make new friends along the way, and be inspired to become great innovators in the crucial fields of maths and science. We wish all participants well in the competition and a smashing visit in South Africa.
Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to take just a few moments to acknowledge and salute the people and organizations that have brought us to this point. This, the 2014 International Mathematical Olympiad, is grounded and organized by a team of academics, students and teachers from many institutions in South Africa, together with the South African Mathematics Foundation and the University of Cape Town, where of course you now find yourself seated. The event is partnered by the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences, the University of the Free State, and the University of Stellenbosch, and supported by our splendid gold sponsors, the Department of Basic Education, Google, and our official media partner, SABC Education. Valuable partners, our silver sponsors include SANRAL and SASOL, whilst our significant bronze sponsors are Shuttleworth and Telkom Foundations. Honourable mentions must go to David Gibson, Troy, Ronald Water, thank you for your contributions, and to Coronation, Kensington Place, Tri-Alpha, Coca-Cola, and Nashua for your participation. And we would furthermore like to acknowledge the considerable input by the Western Cape Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport into the African Games and Music program, which has been organised for the IMO contestants. The generous input of all of these parties has allowed us to be here today. So to all of you, our thanks. And I think let's give them all one big round of applause. This is going to be colourful, a little overwhelming, and it might get a little crowded at times, but we're about to welcome officially 101 teams to 2014 IMO. They represent over 90% of the world's population. And this year, we celebrate their participation in historical order. The very first IMO was held in Romania in 1959. And so was the second in 1960. So it's entirely appropriate that the team to lead the parade across the stage today should be Romania. Mongolia joined. In 1965, Finland joined the IMO. joined in 1975. In 1978, Turkey joined. The following year, 1979, Brazil took part. That same year, Luxembourg. The first country to join the IMO from down under was Australia in 1981. Last year, IMO hosts Colombia. And also in 1981, Mexico.
Dangerous.
in that same year, so did Norway. IMO was held in Australia, the first time in the Southern Hemisphere. No fewer than 9 new countries joined in alphabetical order in that year. The first of them was Argentina. Germany. The 1992 IMO was held in Moscow, and the breakup of the Soviet Union saw for the first time a sea from Russia. Also at the Moscow IMO for the first time was Taiwan. At the very tip of Africa, we too are not immune to political developments, with Nelson Mandela released from prison and South Africa on the way to a new democratic dispensation. In 1992,